be here because it's so much fun. We are reiterating everything we know, putting together, some information about crystals. She's already taught me some things I didn't know during the last 5 hours. And crystals that I've never seen before, too, which is amazing. There's so many. How can you know all of them? You can't.
No, you can't.
But if you have, some basic ones, right, that work for you, and you don't know if they're gonna work for you unless you use them a
That's
lot.
right.
A lot. And you just used one crystal for me because I had a little glitch in my neck, and she gave me a healing crystal with a guide, with a spirit guide that goes with this crystal, and my glitch is gone. I feel great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have a very beautiful and very good guide.
She sure is.
Yes, she really
and
is.
She's actually, remember I described her?
We described her last week, so anyone that wasn't on last week, she's tall and she has long, blonde, curly hair.
Looks a lot like Una the Fairy Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful woman, my goodness.
Yeah. So we're so excited to start our magical conversations because, and I think it's exciting for us because for quite some time now, Penny and me and Laurie and sometimes our friend Christopher sit down and we have conversations about things, and it's almost like we have these fireside chats where we talk about things. So tonight I've been asked so many times to talk about crystals, and we're not experts on crystals. This is not advanced crystal workshop. This is like Crystal 101. What do we want to share with you? What do we like to do? How do we like to use them?
And what we've learned. We're just going to share that, and I'm not stepping over my boundaries because I'm not an expert.
That's right.
Definitely in this field.
And if we do have anybody on the live feed that is an expert or that has information, please feel free to post it because we like to learn too as we go along. So,
and like I was saying, I learned a lot already before we even started about several crystals on the table here, and I don't know if you could see all these beautiful crystals. I mean, I know the basics because I use them all the time, like clear quartz, rose quartz, amethyst, ametrine. There are quite a few, and like healing stones like carnelian, etc., etc. So those are the basics for me. But I'm trying to learn to use a little more each time I use a crystal to learn one more. But you have I don't know, a gallery of crystals that you use.
I do. So it's interesting. My girlfriend Norma, when I first started, the first time I ever talked to a psychic, I came back, I told her, it was in London, and that probably about a month later for Christmas, she handed me a box, and it was a box of basic crystals. So she had someone, do like a little gift box of, the crystals you start off your life with. And it was really, really, it just sparked it, and now my house is like a crystal store.
She has crystals on the floor in every corner of every room, and now I have them in my bedroom. I have Annabelle, the guide, the healer guide, is in my bedroom on the floor, all her crystals.
Yes, I actually, at one point, Laurie has a reading room at Enchanted, and at one point, I read in there one day, so I just, put them all in the different corners.
I came into my room, my office, I call it. I have crystals everywhere all over the floor, and the rugs on the walls, and on my shelves. Oh my God. It was a surprise, but it was a nice surprise.
Yes.
I don't mind that at all. I've learned a lot about that.
So,
And bigger is better, though,
always.
We always, people come in and buy these or smaller, and they work, but of course it's limited because it has electrical resonance, and that means they actually work. There's electricity in all crystals. Clear quartz, of course, we know. I learned from a scientist, Mr. Renard friend that worked for the United States government
Mhm.
with clear quartz, and it has electricity in it. And when you stress a clear quartz, like lasering it in two,
Mhm.
each side sets up a meter of electrical impulse,
Mhm.
like that. And the government uses them in rockets.
Oh,
They take one bigger than this, big quartz crystal, laser it in half, and put it on each side of the point of a missile.
oh, wow,
It keeps the missile from wobbling,
interesting.
keeps it going straight ahead. So imagine what that tiny little crystal can do in your watch. Isn't that amazing?
I have a crystal watch
You
that,
do?
yes,
Yeah.
that it,
Think about that. It's like that crystal's like a little dot.
Yeah.
And it runs the watch forever.
so I don't wind my watch and there's no battery in it. So as I move, the crystal
That's the
just keeps
battery.
charging, exactly.
So you know when you people are using clear quartz like this, that's big enough to give you an electric shock if you were in the bathtub and it broke. But imagine if it was bigger, it could electrocute you, literally. You know, that's how powerful this is. Now, we talked about the science for a minute, and then what's the difference between the ones that have color that's dense? In other words, you can't see through it.
Mhm.
So you have like howlite here.
Yeah.
You can't see through it. So what causes that, and how powerful is that with electricity? It's minimal. It's less because it depends on the minerals that have created the crystal and the amount of heat and time that creates all these things in the earth. But they still work. Not the same as this. This
That's
is
right.
the powerful one.
That's right.
But something as clear as this
Yep.
could have the same amount of power.
Right.
And you want to talk about rose
Yeah.
quartz because it's a biggie.
I would love to, yeah. So we're going to kind of go back and forth and have an interactive conversation. So we might skip around a little bit. So just be patient with us on this because we've been talking about crystals for the past literally 5 hours. I'm not kidding. Just because I've been pulling them out and Laurie's been pulling hers out. So rose quartz, we have a little display of rose quartz, and I think it's really interesting. Look at this bowl. Is that not the craziest,
Oh
amazing
my
thing you've ever
God.
seen?
I want it so bad.
I know. I might have to fight you for it. But we have different sizes of rose quartz, right? Like this is a rose quartz. That's a larger tumble stone. This is a palm stone. I actually will hold it in my palm sometimes. So rose quartz, for the most part, everybody thinks rose quartz is about love, but it's really about self-love, and it's about self-esteem and self-confidence, courage, and while it can be, it can be part of, you can use it when you're talking about romantic love and all of that. It brings in that sense of real
Agape.
Yeah.
Worldly love. And it applies to relationships and things like that. Your self-relationship. All of us have gone through periods of time, and especially if your childhood was not one of joy, you might have low self-esteem in many areas of your life because people said no to you too often. And then you think, oh, I can't do this, and you lose your self-esteem saying, yes, I can. I am smart. How do you replenish self-esteem and understanding, your own wealth, as far as helping the earth and being here and why are you here? That's the way to learn all about that, is using rose quartz.
Right, exactly. And you can do, like me, for example, I have a little bowl next to my bed that has a bunch of little rose quartz, all different shapes and sizes.
Oh, nice.
And sometimes I just stick my hand in it and just try to
Charge.
recharge. Exactly. It sounds so silly, but it's so true. So rose quartz is, we're going to go through, as we go through these, Laurie and I have a couple that we call, remember I talked about my starter kit? We have some favorites that go in the starter kit. So if you've never bought crystals before, and some of you are crystal experts on here, I'm sure, rose quartz is definitely high up on the list. And one of the things that we love about rose quartz is if you look right at the top in the front, that's actually a rough piece of rose quartz. That's Laurie's rough piece of rose quartz. And so most crystals are either polished or tumbled. So obviously this is polished and tumbled. You know, this is kind of polished and tumbled, but some are rough as well. And rose quartz is a great crystal to have rough. Some of them you do not want to have rough because they're like literally dangerous as can be. But rose quartz is amazing. And did you know that's really interesting because, and we're going to move on, since we were talking about healing, let's move on to another healing topic. Carnelian is an amazing healing stone. And it has, I always say to people, it helps you take back your power, it helps you to heal physically, it helps you to heal emotionally, like all of that. And interestingly enough, you can put carnelian and rose quartz together, like in a bowl, and they actually they combine with one another.
It combines that courage and sense of power that you have.
Yep.
Power's not a dirty word. You know, you need your power. And you know, carnelian was used by the Egyptians, and this is the stone of Isis. It's called the blood of Isis. Isis said, "I am all that has been, all that is, and all that shall be." So that tells you something about her power. And this is her healing stone, is carnelian.
It's amazing. So the one that Laurie has in her hand is actually hers. She keeps that in her room, and
Fits my palm perfectly.
exactly, it's like right perfect
Isn't
for
it
it.
amazing?
Yeah, so carnelian's another one on our must-have list. We love carnelian, and to be honest with you, I've done readings with people, and sometimes I'll say to them, you know, get a little tiny carnelian pendant and wear it, right? Because we have those, and I've said to people, you know, wear a little carnelian, and you'll see if you keep wearing it for a while, you're gonna notice the difference. And I did that with a friend of mine, and she actually told me about 6 months later. She's like, I actually do notice the difference. So
You do, and it's nice to have it on your skin. If you can wear something that, sometimes they're beveled, like this beautiful piece here. And so it's hard to, but this could touch your skin if you wanted it to. And, you know, that's kind of important that it's close to you or touching the skin if you can have it that way. You know, it helps more, or if you hold it, like you said. So what are the other basics?
well, so I particularly, it's one that I've always been drawn to. I love amethyst. So many different kinds of amethyst. So this obviously
I
a
love that.
huge charger for that. One of the things I got in my first kit was an amethyst geode, okay? Which is amazing because the amethyst geode, it's beautiful, but it's a rock. So it's not tumbled, it's kind of got that raw look to it and that raw feeling to it, and it's just really beautiful. Clearly I like amethyst because I'm wearing amethyst and wear it a lot, you know?
Yeah.
But amethyst is a great one, and I find that amethyst brings peacefulness. It's good for like protection in terms of like protecting your self-esteem, your image.
Addiction. It's anti-addictive.
Yes.
So that is another major reason to have it if you're trying to lose weight.
Yep. It's any
And
kind
you're
of addiction.
addicted to chocolate like I am, and it's a problem.
So even if you're addicted to negative self-talk, right? Amethyst can, that's why I feel like it can bring peace, is it brings that in. So amethyst is one of those interesting stones that I love the tumble stone. I have a huge bowl of amethyst, and I love the tumble stones, and I do wear them against my skin. So I'll wear necklaces. If I have the tumble stone, sometimes I'll tuck it into my bra, so right there, so I can have it. And
One of the very first things I inherited from my grandmother, my mother gave me a necklace, faceted necklace, with a huge faceted teardrop of amethyst. Pure it's beautiful. I gave it to my daughter, so you know, I wanted to hand it down. But it looked like it was manufactured. It didn't look real because they were so dark and faceted and on a chain. You know, chains to it. It's just beautiful.
So that's actually a great lead into, so amethyst is one of those that comes in lots of different colors. There's light, there's dark, there's chevron amethyst, and sometimes you can have a really deep purple. And it doesn't mean if it's not dark that it's not as strong or as, as effective. It just means that it's a different type of amethyst. That's all it is. And I think that's, when we're talking about buying jewelry and semi-precious jewelry, that's a different conversation. Like, let the jewelers tell you what you should be getting. But when you want to use crystals for everyday use, you have to go after what is drawn to you. And I'm drawn to light amethyst, believe it or not, most of the time. I don't know why.
It's very pretty.
Yeah.
But amethyst also fades. If you have it in the sunlight too much, the darkest one will become faded. But that's natural, that color. Isn't there a green amethyst now too?
Yes,
So
and they call it like
I
trilosite, I think is what it's called, something, can't remember what it is. I actually have a ring of it. And so what they do is they take the amethyst and they heat it, and it becomes green.
Okay.
And that, it's a beautiful green. It's like this light celery colored green, and it's beautiful.
It does the same thing.
Yes.
Except one thing, it draws in the light of Venus. And this draws, purple is the color of Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone that has the Sag or, people who have that Jupiter influence, amethyst brings more of that power and the intention of Jupiter. Jupiter helps you to influence people in high places. It expands your life.
Mm-hmm.
It does all kinds of wonderful things.
Mm-hmm.
So amethyst also can be worn astrologically,
Mm-hmm.
so that you enhance your own light energy that comes from the universe.
Mm-hmm.
You're connecting yourself more
Mm-hmm.
to that.
That's cool. So we were talking about earlier, we were talking about the colors and how they can match up to either the planets, or I match them up to my chakras. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, we could start with Aries, and it's ruled by Mars.
I'm Aries.
And the color, of course, is red. And so you're going to get the influence of that planetary light that comes from that planet is red. In fact, you can see it with the naked eye.
Mm-hmm.
When you see Mars in the sky, you can see the red light coming from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, it hits everyone and everything. But of course, certain people who are Aries, they get hit with a lot more of it, and on different days it's stronger than others. So what does that do for Aries? Well, it does several things. It makes partnerships better,
Mm-hmm.
marriages better,
Mm-hmm.
negotiations. You can negotiate much better with that light and that color and the stone that matches that. And of course, we have red tourmaline.
Right. I have pink tourmaline on, so I'm not at the red completely, but I've got pink on.
That's Venus.
That's Venus. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But here we go. We have the red tourmaline. We have
Garnet.
garnet, and we have ruby.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wear rubies because the way they're mined, the people who are mining them are held by guns and soldiers. They're afraid they're going to steal the rubies they're digging. So I can't deal with that. So I don't wear rubies for that reason. But garnet it's a little expensive nowadays, isn't it?
It is. And garnet, so crystals come in many forms. You can have, crystals like we have here. You see Laurie and I wear crystal jewelry, right? You can wear jewelry, you can have tumble stones, you can have like statement pieces, lots of different things. But garnet actually, when it comes to jewelry, they have different levels of garnet in the jewelry, different colors, yeah. So it's really amazing because there's certain kinds of garnet that are meant that kind of take on different aspects because they're more kind of like the reddy pink color,
Right, or a champagne color, which would bring in more the sun's energy,
Mm-hmm.
along with the Mars energy. So double whammy, which is not bad. It's really good. So we have Aries, and then we have, what comes next?
Taurus. Taurus.
Yep.
Yeah, Taurus.
Okay, Taurus. And Taurus is ruled by Venus. the planet Venus, and the light that comes, and this is physical, this is real. The light that comes from that is a rose pink and pink, Kelly green, light green. Those are the light colors that hit us and hit everything from that planet. It's all about love, and again, we talked about it's agape love. It's the love of everything that lives, you know. So Venus, anyone ruled by Venus is going to get more of that light than other people, depending on all the other aspects in their chart. You know, you need an astrologer to help you know how much of that light you get. But it also makes you like comfortable things. It makes you want to stay home. And it helps you to make a comfortable home.
Right.
It's those kind of people make good decorators. They home builders. You know, that's what that light can do for you.
So I'm in Aries, and I have 5 planets in Taurus and a moon in Taurus. So
now I understand a lot.
and I'm Cancer rising, so it just really completely, I know, it just
Cancer moon
blows it all away. But it's really interesting that Laurie says that, because I get attracted in terms of stones. The pink stones, really, I go after them. And even though you guys may not see it a lot, I love aventurine, so green aventurine. And we have some over there as well. So these right here are aventurine, and I am very attracted to that particular stone. It's kind of like a stone of good fortune and good luck to me, so prosperity.
But it is,
and abundance.
because it's part of your light energy that you were born with, because you were born under the stars. At that time, that light was penetrating into your body and your aura. So it's just a natural thing for you. You know, it's amazing. And other people need to think about that. Whatever your sign is, whether you're, we have Taurus, and then what's next?
What's that to Taurus? Sagittarius?
Gemini.
Gemini, sorry. I'm terrible about
Gemini. I'm a Gemini rising. Yeah, well, that's Mercury, and that's communication. So any orange stone, you know, like even carnelian is an orangey, you know, and there is an orange calcite.
Yep, there is.
What else is tourmaline? There's an orange tourmaline.
I feel like sunstone is a little bit orangey. It's
Oh,
like
it is.
peachy orangey, and there's also moonstone has an orange, like peachy color moonstone. And selenite, which is my favorite, has an orange one as well.
Exactly. Well, that means that people born with that aspect, you know, usually they're very glib and can tell a few tales, so to speak.
Hi, Diane.
And they can be very gregarious, but they also can be good healers, because it's a healing light. And they can heal themselves if they put their mind to it. And communication, writing, becoming an author, writing plays, all those things come under that sign. And again, negotiation, you would use Mercury and Aries, both. You know, you need both Mars and Mercury.
Now, can we veer off for a second, because we started to talk about moonstone, and it's such an important stone. I think maybe we should talk about moonstone.
I do too.
So I have a moonstone ring on right now, if you can see it. I have a moonstone bracelet underneath this big black thing here. We have some tumble stones. I don't know where they are, but we have some tumble stones that are moonstone. But in general, moonstone has multiple different kinds of moonstone. You can have rainbow moonstone, you can have black moonstone, there's peach moonstone, but I want to talk a little bit about why moonstone is so important, because it really is.
It is. Well, first of all, it almost, in some ways, the rainbow moonstone is almost like an opal in some aspects, when it can reflect all different kinds of colors. It's about your psychic mind. It's about the mind and your emotions and your psychic well-being. It's all of those, in the phases of the moon actually do reflect off of that. So if you're, you know, sensitive to a full moon, you can either use it to calm yourself, like you mentioned.
I do that.
Yeah. Or you can use it to enhance the full moon energy and couple that with the spell you're doing or projection you're doing, you know.
Or
it
even
helps.
if you're doing some psychic development and things like that, moonstone is really super helpful for that. Plus,
Yeah, if you think you're, you know, you're trying to be psychic or be a reader or whatever, it's a good thing to wear it, carry it with you to develop your psyche.
Right.
It really helps.
so I just have to put another side note about new moonstone, because I always get asked this, and I'm sure Laurie does too. Someone says to me, what's the best stone for me if I want to get pregnant or if I'm pregnant? Moonstone, fantastic. Shiverlingham, which is,
Right here.
you see it? Right here? Yeah. This is from a river in India, and this is actually a large piece. There's smaller pieces too, and then there's
Some
like
of them are
huge
this big.
ones. Yes.
I have some in storage.
Yeah.
I think they may be at Enchanted.
Yeah.
I had some very
They're
big ones.
huge. Yeah. So Shiverlingham's really great for fertility, but I often say to women that are pregnant that say, you know, I'm a little nervous about my pregnancy. I say, get some moonstone and wear some moonstone. It's really, and there are multiple other stones that are great for that as well, but that's a question that always comes up is what's a good stone for pregnancy?
What can prevent pregnancy?
Oh, don't ask me.
The world is overcrowded, ladies. And motherhood is highly overrated.
All right, well,
unappreciated.
I think that might be another live feed not meant for us to talk about what can prevent pregnancy.
Well, it's one of my, pet peeves is that the world is major. That's why there are the things that are going on now, sadly, is getting rid of people.
Yeah.
Mother Nature is taking care of the issue that we have too many humans overriding the nature of the earth and the world, taking over the space of all the animals and the flora and ruining the waters of the earth. All those things that are going on need to be stopped, and if we aren't smart enough to stop having too many children, we're just not smart enough. We have it attached to our emotions that we have to, procreate. And we really don't have to, not all of us. Not all women need to procreate. They have other facets of their life that could be fabulous without having motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
But of course that's not taught or thought of.
Yes.
And it's just an issue. And so I think that we should try to think about it personally. Each person has to take responsibility. And that's the end of it.
Okay, so since we're talking about pink stones too, and we're talking about the light of it, I wanna show these stones because these are one of my favorites. And Allie and I, when we go crystal shopping, always have a huge conversation about it. So this is a rhodochrosite, like a rough one or a geode, and these are rhodochrosite little tumble stones.
Can I tell you something about rhodochrosite? The first time I had it, quite a large piece like this.
Yeah.
Well, I was meditating, so I put it on my third eye.
Yeah.
It felt like a hole opened up, and I could feel that stone going right through my head.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It affected physically. I could feel it pushing energy into my brain.
Yeah. So
Very scary.
rhodochrosite, interestingly enough, a couple years ago, Laurie was doing a potions class, and I happened to be in the class, and I was helping her as she was pouring these huge vats of almond oil into these big things, and we were mixing it in, and it was a love potion we were doing, and we were throwing some crystals in, and all of a sudden you turned to me and you said, oh, we need something more to jazz this up a little bit. And I'm like, I've got rhodochrosite in my handbag, and there was just two tiny little pieces, but they like packed a punch. So rhodochrosite is great for love, and I find passion, love. I find romantic love is sometimes enhanced by rhodochrosite because it's so powerful.
It is, and
for
I think
yourself.
it brings past life love into your life. It can draw in people that you may not even realize
Mhm.
at some point that you've had a past life with
Mhm.
in a love situation.
Mhm.
And that gets dangerous a
Yeah,
little bit,
well,
but it
yeah.
happens to us. And usually, if you're meeting somebody from a past life now, it means you're just passing. It's not meant to happen, and that makes it more difficult to separate,
Mhm.
you know, and rhodochrosite can draw that in.
So one of the things about rhodochrosite that I'll just mention to you is it's actually the tumbled rhodochrosite is I've seen over the past few years a little bit more accessible and a little bit easier to get.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a lot of very large pieces of it,
I haven't either.
but you know, it could be just from where it's from. I know that the actual ones that are the rough ones, and this isn't even the best example of it, the ones that are real true geodes, those are really difficult to find.
But they're really pretty too.
Yeah, they're very pretty and they're very powerful. So, so that's in our pinks, but let's do one more pink because this is one of my favorites. So, Mangano calcite. So again, this is an interesting pink because look at how opaque it is. You can't even see through it. So
But it's so pretty.
right. So it's a tumbled. This is a tumbled calcite.
It makes me think of sugared mint. I don't know if it's right.
Candy.
Of course, it looks like candy to me.
But this is another one, and it's funny that they're all, you know, every love stone isn't pink, but the ones that we're showing you are. I mean, ruby zoisite, a favorite of mine. We don't have one here. That's, you know, green with red ruby in it, right?
Exactly.
But Mangano calcite, it's really interesting because you can see, you probably can't see with this, but if Laurie and I can tell you about it, this one, it's really opaque on the top, but it's really, it starts to get a little bit lighter on the bottom, which is so strange. That doesn't happen very often. It's usually
it's
pretty
unusual.
yeah.
It's
But
unusual.
This is another great stone for love too. So if you want to have a love fest and you want to, you know, learn to love yourself and everything about it, you can't go wrong.
And it is good for love spell and to draw in a partner, you know, or it does help a great deal, and a lot of people use it just for that, and it's fine. It's fine to do that.
So I want to step back and let's talk about clear quartz again. Totally most under promoted. Like everyone thinks it's such a clear quartz is such a like a it's, you know, whatever, it's a whatever stone.
Powerful, the most fabulous of all.
It's an amazing stone, and anybody that's ever watched me on my live feeds, it's really awful. So, you know, Penny, Laurie's daughter, once told me I'm like flying up around all the time. I'm not really as grounded as I need to be. And I find when I actually wear, because I have, it's underneath here, but I have a clear quartz, that I'm actually more focused. Like it's a very focusing.
Very sharp, yeah.
Very focusing. So, you know, this is a huge piece of it, and this is clear, but clear quartz can also kind of have like a whitish look to it as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a little bit cloudy
Inclusions,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of my healing stones. Look how, it only has a very small inclusion that you can see.
Yeah. Okay. Can we see it? I don't know.
This color.
Oh, okay. Oh, Allie's giving me. Allie's like literally.
Well, that's the inclusions. Look at
Oh.
And the inclusions are the brain of this particular skull.
Right.
It looks like those are the brains because the face part is very clear and structured, of course,
Yeah.
carved. But as you go backwards, you see all that inclusion. It means the crystal is growing inside. They continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you know, you'll have a crystal for several years, like my generator.
Mm-hmm. You guys
And
can
all
see
of a
that?
sudden, in the middle of it, starts to sprout all these kind of things growing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that is. Is that for sale in the Enchanted, this one?
It is.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Are you gonna try to scoop that one up?
How much is
I
that?
don't know. I know Laurie and I, and Allie is actually, Allie's our system engineer and our photographer right now, and Allie and Laurie and I are probably, I mean, Penny's
I can't
amazingly
read
not.
that. What does it say?
I'm not gonna tell you about that.
I want to know.
It's upside down. That's why.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah. But Allie and I are like
Very reasonable.
we're really geeks about crystals. Penny is very knowledgeable about crystals, and Laurie's just using them for everything. You're very knowledgeable too.
Magic, that's
You're
all.
using them for magic. So clear quartz is really great, but one of the other things about clear quartz that most people don't know is, yes, it can focus you. It can really calm you down too. So if you're like all over the place, it's very good. Like you can hold it in your hand. I actually had a customer come into Enchanted one time, and he was literally bouncing off the wall. And I took two. So clear quartz can be rough as well, and that's actually quite beautiful as well. And I took 2 pieces of rough clear quartz, and I said, you stand there right now and hold these 2 for 5 minutes. Just don't move. And he came over to me afterwards, and he's like, what is this stuff that I'm holding? And I'm like, clear quartz. It's like one of the cheapest ones you can buy. And he was really surprised about that.
Well, that's sort of like the missile thing.
Yeah.
He had it in both hands. He wasn't wobbling anymore.
Exactly.
Imagine that. But it makes sense because you're balancing yourself.
And the nice thing about clear quartz too is you can pretty much put clear quartz with almost any other crystal, and it kind of amplifies any other crystal that you have. It's a very interesting crystal. So we love that one. That one goes into our little basket of must-haves because we love that one as well. But this one is a special one, and it doesn't necessarily go into our basket, but I'd love for Laurie to talk about it because she adores this.
Well, because it's known that this is rutilated. It has black tourmaline. Black tourmaline in it. You can see the little tiny flecks and little sparks of it in there.
If you can't zoom in, you can do that.
But the mix of clear quartz and black tourmaline is the nearest thing to a human DNA. This is our DNA right here. This is a human in rock form.
And I've never used this, so I have one piece of jewelry of it, but I've never used it as a stone. Do you ever use this?
I have used it for life force to make myself stronger because of what it does. Because it is, like I said, a little human here, and it helps you to enhance whatever your best part of you might be in your DNA. Of course, it's enforcing the balance of your DNA, whatever it is. So it can help make you stronger physically and mentally.
To hold it, is that what you do with it?
Hold it, and I've slept with it too, because I think that's kind of more important too, because of the change in your temperature and the way your body goes into different modes. It helps to absorb more of the energy from this, but it's a very valuable piece and needs to be studied more, actually.
That's interesting. Since we're talking about sleep, this is another question that I get, I'm sure you get it too. Everybody says to me, I can't sleep. Personally, when I can't sleep, I throw a little amethyst underneath my pillow, so in the pillowcase but underneath, and that helps me to fall asleep. And howlite actually helps me. I put this by my bed because I feel like howlite helps keep me asleep instead of waking up.
I'm going to try that. I haven't tried that because I wake up every single night at 3 o'clock.
Well, I do that too. It's
every
super
night.
weird.
I think half the world does.
I know, it's so crazy.
There was something on YouTube about it.
Oh, really?
And I should have tapped into it and listened to what it said, and I didn't. It said, do you wake up at 3 a.m., blah, blah, blah. And then I just passed it by, and when I went to look for it again, I couldn't find it.
Well, it's interesting because even when we have daylight savings, like I wake up at what the 3 a.m. would be. Like it just perpetuates. So,
absolutely.
Anyway, so so we're still going through kind of our favorite list. Jasper, amazing.
Oh, I love it.
Whether it's mookaite jasper or red jasper, we have a red jasper here. I don't know where it is.
I don't know where it is.
It's here somewhere. But jaspers, there's many different kinds of jaspers, but jasper's a great stone, and I particularly like red jasper because I feel it's very grounding for me. I feel it's like it kind of pulls me into
like
the energy
itself.
So,
I love that. Like you said, for grounding.
Yeah.
It's fabulous, and it can calm you because it grounds you. Your angst, gets rid of a lot of angst.
Yeah. Also in our toolkit, so for some reason we're into skulls tonight. I don't know what that's all about, but
Well, they're popular.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, so I was always like, the skulls are creepy, but once it was explained to me, like the skull holds your brain, and that's why they're so important.
Well, it represents, the spirit of the person that owned it, and you'll see it in pictures and paintings of wizards. And there's always a big skull on the table with a candle on top, dripping down over the skull. And that's because it's in reverence of your mind. It's your spirit and your physical body both.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a beautiful thing.
It is. And this is one of our favorites too, because it's hematite, right? And hematite is amazing for grounding. It's protective. I have a story, Allie's waving to me. I have a story I'm going to tell about Allie in a second. But hematite is definitely on my list in my toolbox of that.
Absolutely.
Protective, it's grounding, it's just everything about it is really calming. But there's two things. Number one, if you have a pacemaker, or I would say any other piece of metal in your body, don't go near it.
I can't, because I have a metal tube all the way up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some metal here.
Yeah.
I have a lot of metal.
Okay, so she's not going near hematite, okay? But absolutely, if you have a pacemaker, do not touch it. Don't go anywhere near it. All right, I just want to put that caveat out there. But so I was with Allie and a few other people one night in October. I think it was October last year, and we were walking into the Hawthorne Inn to have dinner after we had closed up. So it was on a weekend, and October is very busy. And Allie had this hematite ring, and he had it on him. I don't know if he had put it on him that day, but he had it on him because it was really high energy that day.
Same day.
Yeah, it was okay. So he put it on the same day because super high energy in the store, and like he was getting a little sensitive to it. And literally, we walked into the Hawthorne Inn, and it literally like jumped off of his hand, and we could not find it anywhere. We were crawling around for like 15 minutes trying to find it. And so another time it happened to him where he had it on his hand and it just broke in two and broke off. And we're like, well, I guess you don't need that anymore.
Filled it up with his energy, and it was no good
Just
anymore.
like popped right off. So
I have a friend, that every time he gets a clear quartz, and wears it, often, and it's happened over the years that I've known him, eventually it just cracks and breaks on him every single time. It's so weird.
So it's interesting because I have that experience with moldavite. So I
was
can
just gonna say.
Yeah, so I get little moldavite chips and I'll wear them for bracelets, and I'll usually
they
have them.
disappear,
Yeah,
too.
they do disappear. But I had a moldavite ring that was with Aqua Aura, and it disappeared completely. I think the fairies took it, but that's just my personal opinion. But moldavite, I would have these little beautiful little bracelets, and they're expensive. They're not inexpensive.
And it looks like 7-Up bottle glass that's been burned.
It's so uninteresting
It's
looking.
so ugly. I don't like it anyway.
And if I remember correctly, moldavite is like, I don't even know how it's something like it's
supposed to be a meteorite.
Yeah, a meteorite or something like that. So every single one of those bracelets I've had, they've like broken off my wrist and like scattered everywhere.
And gone.
Yeah. So
it happens to me too.
Yeah.
I can't use it. I don't like it anyway.
But so interestingly enough, there are some crystals that some of us can't handle. So you guys know Diane. Diane also does some of the feeds. I once gave Diane a necklace of moldavite with a big piece of Aqua Aura, and she put it on, and within 10 minutes she was so nauseous and dizzy. She was like, I can't deal with this. This is like freaking me out.
You do have to be careful about. That's why astrology is important. If you have an astrologer to let you know what planets can harm you, then you don't want to wear the stones that draw in that light.
Right.
You want to wear the stones that are the opposite of that.
And she thought it was the Aqua Aura. So we argued for years about Aqua Aura, and she would never wear it. And I'd be like, it's not the Aqua Aura, it's the moldavite. And so one time I just handed her Aqua Aura, because I have Aqua Aura. Everybody knows I love Aqua Aura. And I want to actually talk about what kind of crystal Aqua Aura is. It wasn't the Aqua Aura, it was the moldavite. But Aqua Aura is one of those crystals, and Laurie and I were talking about this, and I think this is really important to talk about. There's a lot of differing opinions about crystals that are either made by two elements combining together, or they might be man-made and things like that. And Aqua Aura is literally clear quartz, and they take, you know, a powdered gold and they heat it, and it turns into the blue, right? So this new, I don't know, there's like 7 or 8 of them that have gotten popular over the past, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so,
Right.
that are the
Very
auras,
beautiful.
and they are infused with like platinum or gold or silver and stuff like that. But there are some people who think, oh, well, because they're not completely natural, they're not, you know, as effective. And other people say, you know, well, they've got different elements in them, so they can be effective. So I love the way that you talk about that, Laurie, because I think it's interesting.
Well, first of all, the color matters more than anything. I mean, the crystals just have this energy we're talking about. But even if you had a glass ring that was, you know, red glass, which is made usually with gold, makes red glass for some reason, it's the color. The color is going to attract the color of the planet, the red. So you're still going to get the same effect as it would if you had a ruby on your finger. I mean, of course, it's added if it's a real ruby or a real garnet. The power is much stronger. But you're still, if you have just plain old jewelry like this, you know, and this is just fashion jewelry, but every one of these colors draw in the light of a planet and put off that energy into your aura. And that's important to know, that you don't have, if you can't afford crystals and crystal jewelry, if you have even fashion jewelry, you need to understand what it does for you, so you can buy the right colors or whatever. You know, I think it's interesting. It's all about the light energy, and not always about the minerals and all that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing that we talk about too is, you know, the minerals that make up different crystals are important to understand what minerals are making up different crystals, and that's a place where I'm kind of lacking. I'm not as good at that.
I'm not as good at that either.
But, you know, but you need to understand some of that, because there are implications to it. Like, for example, and this might, you could actually talk about this, but like malachite, for example. Love malachite. It's
I
like,
love it.
it's a
So
green
beautiful.
stone, it's got striations through it, it's amazing. Do not ever touch a rough malachite or a malachite powder. It's super, super dangerous.
It's copper, basically, so it's poison. And one time, I didn't realize that because I love malachite. So I bought a bag of powdered malachite. I put it in this beautiful crystal bowl to make a crystal garden next to my bed, so I could put my hands in and charge. So I put my clear quartz and rose quartz and all that in it. And all the time I was laying there with that powder, and every time I lift a crystal out of it, the powder would fly into the air, and it was pure poison. I was poisoning myself. So don't use powdered malachite for anything.
No.
It's just deadly poison.
Yeah. Let's talk about, so I like to classify our crystals as like, we talked about the love crystals, so I think that's really important. Listen, a lot of us are in, you know, financially we're a little concerned about what's going on. We might be a little nervous about it. So
Very nervous.
there are some crystals that bring in abundance in your life, or they bring in prosperity in your life. And we actually have 2 of them right here.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so we have a citrine right here. We actually have a tumblestone too. This happens to be a geode of citrine. It's a little heart. And this is a little tumblestone of citrine. And citrine,
This looks really pretty.
yeah, so citrine's one of our money stones, you know what I mean? So our prosperity stone. So
And it really works fast, I'm telling you. A clear, sort of yellow, goldish yellow citrine, if you can get a gemstone quality, sort of in a ring or something, and wear it often, like that, it's going to bring in financial balance and abundance of all kinds. It really works really quickly too.
Right.
And I think we have it like this in the shop.
Yeah.
In Enchanted, there's that geode there.
yeah,
That's amazing. That would be something to put in your house,
yeah.
or if you're trying to run a business.
Yeah.
put it right, if you have a business online, put it next to your computer, and, you know, as you're selling things on your website, I would keep using this, because it would bring in more and more customers, and more money. It just is a whole money maker.
And it's also incredibly grounding. So when I said that Penny sometimes says I'm flying up there on the ceiling, she's not wrong. And she actually gave me this stone because it's a very grounding stone. And since I've been wearing it, here, let me take it off for you. So I had it. It was a stone she got for me, and she had it cut. And I ended up putting it in. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to lose this one. I ended up having it put in to silver, and it's got some gold. If you look on it, it's got some gold on it too.
I think that's great.
Yeah, so
it's a balance. Silver and gold are good to wear together, but I don't wear a lot of silver because it brings psychic mind and ability. I've got enough of that. I need the physical stuff. You know, the gold brings physical strength.
Yeah.
So I wear a lot of gold, but the balance is important.
Yes.
And this ring is really beautiful.
It is
that
beautiful.
way.
Thank you, Penny. It's a beautiful gift. It's interesting that Laurie says that she doesn't wear silver because almost all my crystals are in silver.
And I want everything in gold.
But there is one thing you can do if you have crystals in silver and you don't like the fact that the silver tarnish, and we're seeing a lot more of this recently, I would say in the past 2-3 years I've seen it, is a lot of jewelry especially, it'll be silver and then they'll plate it with rhodium. And rhodium is what they use to put over yellow gold to make it white gold.
Exactly.
So it's really kind of interesting.
Now, I do wear a silver pentacle now because a bunch of fairies took my gold one. I had 2 this size in gold.
Yes, I know you did.
Well, that's an old story.
Yeah.
But I wear silver now.
Yeah.
And this is my moonstone.
Yep, it's
Isn't it
beautiful.
pretty?
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So a couple others we want to talk about is psychic, because we were talking about that anyway, right? So labradorite, we had it on when we talked last week. Labradorite is known. Most people are very attracted to it when they want to like enhance their psychic capabilities. Another one that's really great is shungite, and we had that last week. It's a black one. But you've also got some of your blue stones. So like sodalite is really great for psychic ability. Kyanite is fantastic, amazing. I mean, there's so many of them that you can. Lapis and lapis lazuli.
Ruled by Jupiter again, you know.
So the difference is lapis is blue, and lapis lazuli has little striations of pyrite in it.
And gold.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the gold. Pyrite, I personally love pyrite because it's called fool's gold, but I love the pyrite because I like to put it in with the malachite because it creates like a nice little energy through that. Yeah. I've talked about this before. Celestite is a great one for the psychic stuff. But then you have other ones like amethyst is good too. Lepidolite is a good one as well. So there's a lot of different ones, but it's one of those things that it's not one size fits all. So you have to figure out which ones work for you when it comes to the psychic stuff. I do really well with the selenite. Laurie's like, not interested. So,
yeah, really.
yeah.
I have a large piece of quartz crystal, about a tube about this big. Inside it is some trapped water.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's millions of years old.
Yeah.
And it's my level. You can go like this and you can see the water move inside
bubble,
of it.
yeah.
It's amazing. And that can happen, and those are quite valuable.
Right.
You know. But it shows the energy and where it came from. Water trapped inside that crystal. And what about those caves in Mexico?
Yeah.
Do you know where?
I don't know where they are. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You should look it up on your computer. There are crystal caves that have been discovered in Mexico somewhere, and I don't know if anyone's ever seen that old movie of Superman. And
The crystal
yeah,
thing.
yeah, where he came from, and these huge crystals and everything. It's
Kryptonite.
exactly like
Yes.
that.
Kryptonite.
Yeah, it's like, what was it?
Yeah.
What was it called? Oh, I'm really bad at my Superman
I
information.
know.
Guys, someone should tell me.
What is
on
it?
here. It was like his was out in the sun, in the snow, and he threw a crystal that he took with him, and then all of a sudden this huge crystal fortress got built up. Is it the Fortress of Solitude? I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but I think that's another interesting one too, because most people don't think of. I know we're like pushing the clear quartz. It's not for any other reason except for we both love it so much.
Yeah.
But clear quartz is actually, some people actually scribe with clear quartz. A lot of people scribe with clear quartz. I've done it a couple times, not so good at it, but
I see thumbprints in a clear crystal ball.
well, I think a clear crystal ball, it's funny because most of those crystal balls that are completely clear, super hard to scribe with, but if they have inclusions in them, a little bit easier.
And that would be good crystal for scrying, actually.
Yeah.
Because of the way it's made.
Yeah.
Septarian.
Oh, Septarian. Okay, so this is one of our favorites at Enchanted because
I need 2 nice big ones to put at my front door and back door.
so this is called the Dragon Stone, and this is actually in the shape of a heart. You guys can see it, but we have had before the Septarian that is either completely an egg shape and it looks like a dragon's egg, or it's been opened up and it looks like a dragon's egg that's been like cracked open. It's an amazing protective stone. It's really, really protective.
Wow, and I have all, for many, not 100 years, but close to it, I have 2 psychic dragons around where we live, tail to tail. And they lie there asleep until someone tries to break into the house or to do harm. And then they wake up, and then usually the thief or whoever it is sees them and runs.
Oh.
It's as simple as that. So I
One of those.
I really want to have some dragonstone now that I know about it.
Septarian.
And how beautiful
I
it
know.
is. Isn't that amazing what nature does?
It is.
But it does look dragon-like, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
And when it comes in an egg, it's awesome.
Mhm.
I don't want to diminish lapis lazuli. That's another one that goes into our toolkit. We love lapis lazuli. It's
Absolutely.
such a powerful stone. They talk about how people that have a connection to Egypt tend to like lapis lazuli because they say that the pharaohs were actually attracted
Well,
to it.
most of the necklaces that they wear have
Blue and gold.
slabs of lapis in them,
Mhm.
and carnelian,
Mhm.
and turquoise. A lot of turquoise. We don't have any here. Turquoise is ruled by Jupiter as well,
Mhm.
and is a very powerful money maker and influence. It makes you influence. That's why the pharaohs wore the lapis, because it's Jupiter,
Mhm.
and what was I saying?
Turquoise. Mhm.
And then the carnelian, and then a sunstone of some kind, usually like a citrine they wore, because they brought in the power of the sun, which is one of the gods.
Okay. Someone's actually saying I have raw malachite, a piece. Should I not be taking it? Should I not be bringing it about your bedroom? No.
No.
Raw malachite, you have to be careful with. So,
Yeah, you can put it somewhere where it's safe, but not near your animals either.
yeah, so just be a little bit careful about that. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to look at this.
Questions? Yeah, if you have questions, feel free and to ask.
What happens? What's the meaning when a stone cracks on you?
What's the meaning when a stone cracks on you?
It means you've put the energy, your energy is too strong for the stone, and you're breaking it with all your energy. You don't need it. You do not need that stone.
And that happens too often when like I have, it's really funny that Laurie was saying this because I have a bracelet that's got turquoise, lapis lazuli, and sugilite in it, which is another protective stone. It's
sugilite is in everything.
It's purple, and that bracelet breaks off of my. I can repair it every single time. It'll break within a week. It's off of me.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But there's a lot of schools of thought. What do you do when you have a stone that breaks? I personally give it back to the earth. That's what I do.
I was just going to say,
I bury it.
go bury it somewhere.
Yeah, I
And
don't
the
throw
earth
it
needs
out.
it.
Or like if I can't bury it and I'm near a huge body of water, I'll throw it in the water.
I do the same thing.
Yeah. So but it's personal choice. You're not like required to do anything, but I like to give it back to the earth.
The earth needs it. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
You know, it's a wonderful thing to do.
So,
We have quartz crystals buried in a ring around Stonehenge. Because every year for years, when someone would go there, I'd send them with a quartz crystal about this big.
wow.
And so when they go to Stonehenge, I ask them to bury it as deep as they can. So I'm sure they've been digging up all kinds of things there, so I'm sure half of them are gone. But we actually, over a period of about 20 years, actually got a quartz crystal ring around Stonehenge.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and rollright, there's another stone circle called rollright. It's very obscure, but it's very powerful, and I put quartz crystals in the ground in the middle of that circle. You know, they're there, yeah.
Some of the ones that Laurie's talked about that I particularly like to work with, and she doesn't, is I like the higher vibration, kind of like the angel-y, spiritually, because I work with angels, whatever an angel may be, like we don't have to define what that is.
No.
So you'll see angelite, which can be polished, and usually is polished, but celestite. Celestite, yeah, this is an angelite that's polished. It comes in all different shapes.
Very energetic, it's very healing, it really is.
Celestite, when you have a polished celestite, it's dull. So if you ever see a polished celestite stone, it's literally, it's this very clear looking blue stone, but it's dull. So that's why I like the geodes better, because they're beautiful and they're really interesting to work with. So that's another one of my personal
So it's basically
favorites.
a spirit stone.
Yeah.
It brings in spirit for you.
It does.
And people shouldn't be afraid of bringing in spirit.
No.
Spirit doesn't do harm.
No.
And I try to tell the story every time we're on, practically, that, you know, poltergeist is a live and living disturbed person within a mile's radius. Has nothing to do with the other world. So drawing in spirit is never gonna harm you. And that's a perfect stone for that,
Yeah,
isn't
it is. It's pretty amazing, actually. So I was just telling Laurie, I put it on before my dad's headstone came up. I put this huge celestite geode there so that we could find his grave. It was really pretty amazing. Some people ask about protection, psychic protection. I like to think of it as, yes, there is psychic protection, because yes, someone can try to draw in your energy if they'd like to, but it also dispelling negativity and kind of giving you a more positive mindset. I like to think of them in like 3 different categories. So all the black stones are really great. You just gotta make sure you keep them cleansed, and we can talk about that in a minute.
Well, you know, obsidian is ruled by Pluto.
Yeah.
So it can bring chaos.
Yes, it can.
So you need to neutralize it and reprogram it to do the opposite.
Yeah.
To organize and do things like that. What's the other black stone?
Black tourmaline is a big one.
Yeah, and the other, there's a black,
Jet is the one
and
that's
then
really
there's
psychic.
one more.
Tektite, maybe? You talking about tektite?
No, it's a common.
Obsidian, black tourmaline. I use snowflake obsidian
Yeah.
with the specs in it.
And it's ruled by,
Is it shunga?
no,
No, okay.
but it brings a little bit of shattered energy for people who are not Capricorns. It's a Capricorn stone, and it's not agate. I can't think. Isn't this awful? It's a simple name that we all know. It just left me.
I don't know what it is. If anyone can think of it, let us know.
I
But there's just a couple more things. We're gonna wrap up pretty quickly, but just some other things about protection stones. You can do something like tiger's eye, which is a great protective stone.
oh, and that, you know, if you ever watched that movie, Practical Magic.
Yeah.
They use tiger's eye for protection. That's a beauty.
Yeah.
I love
Isn't that pretty? I know. I keep that by my computer at work.
And it's good to put one in your backpack or your
Yeah.
purse and carry it with you all the time, because it is protection.
Yeah.
And it's really strong.
Yeah, it's amazing. I keep that one right by my computer so that when I'm working, I'm protected from
I
people.
call it cat's eye, of course, instead of tiger's eye.
What
That's
are
okay.
What are your thoughts about lab created gemstones or gems?
Well, we talked a little bit about that when we were talking about aqua aura. I mean, you know, lab created gemstones. You just talked about this. You
Well,
talked about.
I know, and the same, if it's a fake, man-made diamond, does the exact same thing a diamond does. It has the same kind of energies and power, and it refracts and reflects the light of the universe. So again, you have to know your colors that go with your planets and what they do. Each color of the rainbow has an intention, a built-in pack of information from the universal light. And that information is the intention that comes with certain rays of light. And knowing that makes things a lot more powerful for you to use them. You need to learn those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, another thing is, I'm just going to grab this book. This is something a lot of people have probably seen. It's Judy Hall's Crystal Bible. I mean, it's like the 101 Bible.
It's wonderful.
Everybody uses it.
And you need to.
And it often talks about in here the zodiac signs associated with a crystal, the chakras that are associated with a crystal, that kind of thing. And I think the thing that's really important that I've had to learn over the years is I don't have to just follow my zodiac signs and then my crystals. I get drawn to certain crystals for certain reasons.
Absolutely.
And you use them for certain reasons.
No, you don't want to just stick to that.
Exactly.
You need to learn what works for you, and it could be anything.
Right.
You just have to work with it and see what it does for you. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're past our time.
Well, that's okay with me, but I do need a cup of tea, so we're gonna have to. We'll come back soon, next Friday.
Yeah, let us know. I mean, we have many more little different things to talk about with crystals, but if this was enough of a little bit of a taste of it, so that you can go and do your own research on it, I mean,
That's it.
that's fine.
And what are we doing next Friday? Do we know what we talked about?
I'm not sure. We had a couple different things, so we'll have to post it in the next day or
We'll
so.
let you know what we think we know.
Yeah.
Also, comment what you would like to see.
Exactly. I mean, I was just going to say that it would be helpful if there's things. I mean, again, this is we're trying to do it as a conversation. Yes, we're bringing in information, or we might be bringing in stones or whatever it is. But if there's things that you want us to talk about, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
And we might be
And
able
we'll
to do
try
it.
to answer your questions as they come in. I only tell people what I know, and I don't know it all. And I think study is important, that what I say could be augmented by you getting books and reading, and we certainly have those at Enchanted. We have all that. And the jewelry. We didn't show you some of the jewelry from Enchanted tonight, but they have some beautiful things.
There's just one other thing. So guys, there's charging crystals and programming crystals. We talk a lot about that. Like, someone just asked, can you only charge a crystal by tapping it with a clear quartz? There's so many ways to charge
There's
a crystal.
so many ways. Holding it and going into alpha, closing your eyes, putting your aura into it, and saying it is fixed.
Yep.
Putting your prana, your breath on it, it charges your crystal.
Right.
So there's
So many different ways to do it. There's a ton of different ways to cleanse them as well. Guys, honestly, there are some really great sites out on the internet. I can give Allie a list of the ones that, I look at sometimes when we're looking up stuff.
And the book tells you.
And the
too.
book tells you how to, all
And that's just
crystal
one,
books.
That's
There's
just one book.
tons of, over in the corner over there's like 7 or 8 crystal books that Laurie and I have been playing with today. So, but you have to find the book that's the right book for you. Like, I love Judy Hall's. I know someone who can't stand her book, but there's someone else that they like even more, So
Right.
there's a lot of
There's a lot.
information out there. Crystals have become so mainstream. And
isn't it wonderful?
yeah, and they're around an awful lot. And the only thing I would say, my personal, because I kind of dove into this head first and have crystals all over everything, is you need to understand about the crystal, and you need to understand about its effect on you. And if it feels right for you, and it has the right properties for you, really, honestly, they can be really great friends. I know that sounds really
Well, and I think it's important. It connects you to the earth and nature and the universe. So So
Yeah.
all that is so important. Instead of being fragmented, it helps you to be part of everything.
Mhm.
And I thank you for tonight. Thank you. We had fun. I don't know about you. Let us know.
I had fun.
Yeah, I had fun.
Thank you so much for all the information tonight.
And you.
Uh,
Oh my goodness.
All right, so bye everybody. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good night.
And good night.
Good night.